Hey there, looks like it's time to build an OpenCADE. I've 3D printed all the parts. We'll talk about those as I put them together. It just takes a Raspberry Pi, some software, the RetroPie software, and a few buttons, joysticks, trackballs, spinners, all that sort of thing. Watch as I put everything together and try it out. All right, so first thing to do is install the Raspberry Pi. Now what I've already done is gotten the Raspberry Pi and installed the RetroPie software to a micro SD card. That's got the RetroPie software. It doesn't have any ROMs, doesn't have any games yet. We're going to add those in a later step, but we're going to be putting this on the machine, and you'll see actually here is where you've got the HDMI, the power, all that sort of thing. So you just want to make sure that it lines up okay with the hole that's cut out on the back of the box. Easy, right? Easy. Okay, and put that in here. And you want M2 screws for this. And you're going to want, I tried this with both hex and slotted screws. The slotted screws are the Phillips style screws, far better. Easier to kind of drive into the holes you need. And you're going to want like 4mm, 5mm, not super, definitely not super long, because you don't have a lot of space to get stuff in here. So we've got I'm using M2 4s on this. And there's one of those situations where you buy a ton of these and you really only end up using 6 of them. But you got to buy the box. You got to buy them by the box. So get these guys in here. Since I am going to be pulling power out and HDMI pretty regularly, I do want this to be very sturdily installed in here. So I'm going to make sure that that there's as little movement as possible. You know, for your other boards, you might be able to get away with just doing 2 screws, but for this guy, I definitely want all 4 of them in there, and I want them all tight, as tight as possible. The 3D print doesn't have, I don't know if they've got threaded inserts in there, or if it's just a hole and you kind of just make your own threading by putting the screw in. Probably the latter. So you kind of want to make sure you don't over tighten, because then you'll start stripping the plastic filament out of the ports. Look at that, just goes in nice and easy like that. Gonna do a little bit more here. There we go. Next up, we're going to install the board that controls the buttons. That's this guy right here. You want to make sure that it's installed also the correct way, which means that the end of the USB is sticking out on this side, not on the other side, because you've got a wall right there. So we'll put that guy in there. We'll get a few more screws, and we will get that installed. I'm going to play it safe and do 4 screws on this one too. You know, I bought all these screws, might as well use them. And I have 4s and 5s, so you just want to make sure that you're being really careful when you line this up to make sure that you're also not pressing down on parts of the board that shouldn't be pressed down on. You know, you need to hold on to the board while you screw things in, but you don't want to do it while you're pressing down on a processor or on a set of wires or something like that, or pins, because those will foul things up. Always grew up learning you do screws on the opposite side first. The far away corners. Works the same way for tires or wheels when you're putting wheels on your car. When you're putting lug nuts on, do it in a star pattern. Don't do it you know, sequentially clockwise or counterclockwise. You want to do them in opposite, and that keeps things from getting warped and bent and that sort of thing. All right, let's see how it's pretty snug. Let's go a little more snug. It's almost like the heads of these screws are almost, that'll be just fine. They're almost too small. Like this could it's almost too small enough to fit through that opening. These are your coin buttons. How can you tell? I say coin, so you can tell. Depending on which set of buttons and joysticks you get, by the way, you may get player 1, player 2 buttons that are a different size. This kit came with all these buttons, and oddly enough, came with 2 buttons that say coin. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna swap one out for like a green button, because I'm gonna use red and blue for the top, so I'll use a green one with the coin button, because coin. I want to be able to keep track. But as I put these in, I'll tell you. So the kit that I bought actually has the same size buttons for coin and player 1, player 2. And the original OpenCADE 3D print files have different sizes for those. So let's get a greenie out. So you want to make sure when you print it that you print the right one. I didn't see a set that came with smaller player 1, player 2, and coin buttons. So basically those are going to be your start select buttons. We'll do this guy. Get him where he needs to go. Nothing to line up because this one does not have any text on the front of it. Oh, these buttons are so nice and so tactile, and oh, such a nice feel to them. They're also LED, so they'll light up as you assemble stuff. Okay. These wires are going to go over the USB, so now is when I'm going to actually put this USB back in place. So we'll kind of loop it the way we had it a second ago. We will get that guy in place. We'll get this guy also in place, and we're good. And then we have plenty of room to get those wires in. I think we can actually start working on the buttons on the control panel now. I'll get this guy out of the way for now. And let's bring out the control panel, and this is where we're going to have our joystick, our red and blue buttons, and our player 1, player 2 buttons at the top there. For this, I'm going to be using red and blue. I'm going to do reds across the top, blues on the bottom, and get all these rings to get out. I do love the metallic look on these. The chrome plated plastic. They're not really metal, but they look metal, which is nice. Let's start with player 1, player 2, up top here first. Back to our player 1. And there's a little lip, by the way. You probably already know this, but each of these rings has a, I'll put over the orange, has a lip on one side. That's the part that you want facing your plastic, your resin board. Okay, player 1, let's do player 2. Got so many little plastic bags from this project. These are great for holding on to for board games. I keep a drawer full of them so that when I get a new board game, I can separate out the little pieces. That's if I don't 3D print an insert for the board game. Or it might be in addition to printing on an insert for the board game. Let's get that lined up. Boop, 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 boop. Very good. Cool. Let's do some buttons. We'll start with our reds. I decided on my CoverCADE build, I did actually burnished letters and numbers on the buttons, and just come on, lining these up. The toughest part really is this right here, is lining lining the rings up. I burnished letters and numbers actually onto the buttons. These things actually are really cool. They come apart very easily so that you can actually pop, using the little screwdriver, you can pop the two sides out and pop this plastic top off the button, and then you can burnish something on the little white display underneath there. For this build, I'm not gonna do letters and numbers. I like the clean look, but I might, just depending on how things go, I might come back and redo it. And that's kind of the cool thing about how easily modded these things are. I can come back very easily later on and add that. And then one more red. All right, so we've got our 3 reds, our 3 blues, player 1, player 2. Of course, now we just need a joystick. Let's get these. Joystick time. And this one actually comes with screws. Does not come with nuts. Nut free. This guy will go on top. This ball will go on top once you've got the thing in place. For this one, this is where you'll actually use. You won't use the screws that come with it because, for obvious reasons. Things just won't. There's nothing for it to screw into. So you will use nuts to go in here. And I recommend like looking to where the pins are. There's not a, is there a northeast? There really isn't a northeast, west, south, is there? So obviously it just has to go either this way or this way. And I'm going to put the pins closer to the board. So when I put this in, it'll actually go like this so that the pins are closest to the Raspberry Pi, or into the other part that it goes into. So I'm not going to use these screws. Let's grab a set of screws to go in here. And I'm looking. Nice. For these, I'm going to use M3 16s. Just dump the rest of these into here. And then we'll also need some M3 nuts. M3 nuts. There we go. By the way, if you're looking at these little cups that I 3D printed, these are part of the Gridfinity system. They are fantastic. A really good way to organize your little screws and things that, like, you get a ton of things that come in these dividery boxes, and they're really hard to get out of. I just, got these M2s out of here and accidentally dropped one in another spot and that sort of thing. So you can actually separate these out. And what's cool about the Gridfinity is that you can print them out with a little curved lip in the bottom so that you can just grab what you need as you need it. Super cool. Okay. Let's get these guys screwed in here. And what we'll do is we'll do the opposite sides first, as usual. I'll hold that guy. I'm not going to worry about centering or anything until I get more than one of these on here. And I also won't over tighten until we get 2 of these on here. Let's get a guy in the opposite corner, right there. This is one of those areas where you will want to have this thing centered as well as possible, because you don't want the joystick movements hindered by having it offset. It may not be as noticeable because you'll have the ball guard, or the little plastic ring that prevents you from seeing the inner workings, but you'll know it's there. You'll know it's a problem. All right, that, and then let's do the last one. There's so much stuff on my desk that I'm using to like capture the video that it's like space is at a premium. And then we'll see what looks like these things take a fairly large Allen wrench, so we'll get that guy in there. Okay. Looks good. We'll kind of arrange to center it. Oh, that looks beautiful. Let's Allen wrench that guy into place. I'll take one of these with me, make sure I got the right Allen wrench. Nope, that is the wrong Allen wrench. This is the right Allen wrench. So tighten each of these. What's great is that they pull tight pretty well if you can hold, you know, just grab the edge of the nut and it really grabs that well. Make sure you center before you do this step, obviously, because you're basically locking this joystick into place. Good. And finally, very good. Cool. All right. So now we can drop this guy on here, and then we can screw our joystick ball on here, and listen to how great this sounds. Oh, it's how much it moves. Oh, it's so ASMR. It's so nice. All right. So next step is going to be to wire everything together. Let's put our, let's see if are we going to use these same screws for these? I think we are. Yeah, we're going to use those same screws. So I'm going to leave these guys out for now. Bring our board back, our box back over here. And then we can put this guy on top of it. That is how everything is going to fit together. Something is, all right, there is one last thing that we need to do before we close this up and plug it in and start setting it up. Before we do the trackball and spinner, we need to add the USB port. Now, the USB port is something used to plug in a keyboard or an external controller or a mouse if you need it. And when you print out the pieces, you get this nice little USB plastic mount. In testing to figure out which USB cord I was going to use, already jammed a USB cord in there and got it stuck. So it's something that you'll have to do on your own, but keep in mind that it won't actually come. It won't print with the USB cord actually plugged into it. Ha ha ha. This will go on the side. It could go on either side. You've actually got the same holes on either side, but I'm going to use, I'm going to put it into this side because on the other side we are going to have the trackball and spinner, Tempest spinner. So I'm going to plug this guy into here and then plug or mount this in here. And really there's no other things that are going to be plugging into this board now. So I think we're just going to go ahead and use some M3 screws and nuts and actually just get this in place. And then we can get this party started. You know, provided I can actually get... Actually, there's no real reason to use 16s here, is there? Let's see how far this 16 protrudes through. We might use something smaller for the other ones. Yeah. You know what? Let's see what else I've got for M3s. Let's use something smaller. We'll use M3 12s. be a little easier to deal with. If I do need to access anything inside here, then these won't stick out as much, which will be nice. Oh, let's do the bottom left corner. This is another one where you're going to want to have it as sturdy as possible because it is going to be, you are going to be pulling and unplugging and plugging in USB ports to this thing all the time. So you really do want to have this thing be snug. I might actually have to use a set of those pliers to hold this. No, it's tightening. It's grab and hold just fine. How about this guy right here? Is this as tight as this one's gonna get? Oh gosh, no. Oh heavens, no. Yeah, and I think we actually will use these M312s for the, when it's time to really fully attach the lid. We won't do it this time because we have to get in here to do the attachments for the trackball and stuff like that. But when it comes time to batten down the lid, then we'll use the these M312s to do that. Other things you can print out for this guy include like a wrist rest, which is really nice. There we go. And then finally, top left. God, these Gridfinity boxes are just so handy with the little curved lip. And what's cool is because of that, they print out without supports. So you can actually print Gridfinity boxes and frames and all of that stuff without supports. Big thanks to, oh God, I can't remember the guy. Lives here in Colorado who designed the Gridfinity system. Apparently goes to like all the rep rap stuff, all the shows. Okay, that's it. We're going to go ahead and take this over to my other desk. We're going to plug it in to power. We're going to plug it into a USB, or I'm sorry, an HDMI, and then we're going to plug a keyboard into the side and get this thing set up. All right, so getting the RetroPie plugged in here for the first time. Here's the lit up unit itself. You can see, oh, let's zoom out a little bit. Look at that. You can see it all. Excuse my messy desk. I don't need to see any of that. There's the lit up RetroPie with all the buttons. And now we are basically getting the software, which will appear on the screen in just a moment, set up. And I apologize for, where is that glare coming from? Is it coming from, can't tell which light that glare is coming from. Maybe this one? Nope. I don't know. Oh, it's coming from this one right here. There we go. So let's get rid of that. Cool. Now you can see it booting up all of the RetroPie stuff. Hold the button on your device to configure it. So we're going to do this device right here, a Dragon Rise generic USB joystick. Whoa. All right, so now we're going to do all of our configuring. D-pad up. That's D-pad up, D-pad down, D-pad left, D-pad right. Start. I guess that's going to be start is green. Select is going to be coin. Button A east. Here's where we have some fun here. So, you know, we've got our 4 buttons for northeast, south, and west. I think what we'll do is we'll use the 4 buttons on the left, and we'll do that one is east, that one is south, that one is north, and that one as west. Left shoulder, right shoulder for now, I think is what we'll do. And we'll kind of skip some of these other ones. Let's see, and I think we use the arrow key. Not defined, not defined. Left trigger, right trigger. Don't have enough buttons on the thing to do those. And obviously I can't use the joystick on there. Oh, I think I just hit enter to skip that one, right? Hold any button to skip. Oh, there we go. It's right there on the instructions. So we'll hold that one to skip. We'll hold that one to skip. Now, analog. I think the joystick actually should be analog and not, or should it be D-pad? Let's try it. We can always come back in here and reconfigure these. So we'll skip through all of these. There we go. And OK button. Do you think I just press any button to do OK? There we go. Didn't choose a hotkey enable button. This is required for exiting games with a controller. Oh, do you want to use the select button default? Yeah, I do want to use the select button. So yes for the select button. Oops, that's east, right? Nope. Which button is, okay, that must be east right there. All right, so now it's doing its full-on configuration. There's no games on here, so like can't really go left and right to select. Really all that's available on here is configuration. Start gives me a menu, scraper, sound settings, UI settings. Let's go ahead and get some of these other things here. We need other settings. I think this is where I can connect it to Wi-Fi, which is what I'm going to be able to, what I'm going to use to get stuff. Oh, whatever I just hit is out, is the exit. So let's try that one more time. This is where like having an A on the button might actually help. All right, I think I configured it as this is A. We'll give it a second. Nope. Yeah. Menu, other settings. What should I be hitting that doesn't get me out of this? Oh, select choose. Select, yeah, A. Configuration? Oh, is that what I want? Oh, there it is. That is what I want. Jeez Louise, okay. Yeah, figuring out what my A and B are, definitely I think actually is a good idea. Let's see, let's get down to Wi-Fi and get that set up. This is where I'm not going to show you my Wi-Fi settings, okay, got some unknown ROM here. I don't know what this is called, something Jump Man or something, I don't know, but it's a good way to test the system here. Yep, okay. Rubber feet going to be the next thing that I build for this, is because having this thing slide around, definitely a bad idea. Oh no, oh no. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Wow, okay. Kind of amazed that, yeah, having this thing not slide around. So you really want to have it so that you're holding the thing down as you use the joystick, because otherwise, yeah. Otherwise you get a lot of movement and stuff. So having it very well stabilized is key to being able to go up and down on these controls. And notice that I go halfway up and then it starts pushing the thing and it stops making contact with the people watching are like, dude, how long has it been since you've played Donkey Kong? It's been a while, apparently. Clearly, that's the problem here. But there we go. So now the base RetroPie is working. So things are good there. Oh, yeah. Is it? That's going to totally come down on me. One of these is, for sure. Nope. Amazingly enough. There we go. And that one probably won't. Okay, come on. I just want to save Pauline really quick, and then we'll move on to the next deal. Okay, cool. There we go. So select is our multi-action button here. There we go. And that gets us kind of out of the game. All right, let's look at the next part of this, which is the spinner and the trackball panel here. I've got that panel, and then I've also got the box. This box is going to be connected to the other box right here with these 4 screws. A little bit of cruft inside the box here. And then there's a micro USB that comes from the other side that this is getting transferred from. So this one's going to be a little bit easier, just 2 elements to install on the control panel here. Let's go ahead and get those 2 things ready. We've got the trackball and the spinner. By the way, notice that the trackball actually has 3 different colors that you can use. There's actually, let me grab it real quick. The manual that comes with the trackball actually describes what those colors are. You can have, red, blue, green. Where is it here? Here we go. RGB adjustment table. All 3 of them. Off means no LED. If you want a red one, it's on, off, off. Blue, green, magenta, cyan, yellow, white. I actually kind of like magenta. So let's go on, off for the 3 switches. And I can see on, and off for number 3. There we go. There's our 3 switches. What do I do? Put it right there, and then you can see. Cool. There you go. On, off. And then also you want to make sure that when you install this, that the top of the trackball or the cords come out of the top of it. So when it goes into the unit itself, it's going to go in like this. And since we've got it right here, let's go ahead and get things plugged in. This is actually where those M316s are going to come in handy. Let's see if these are long enough. This is a fun build because you've got, oh yeah, nope, those aren't going to be long enough. Let's do 20s on those. Switch out for 20s. We'll do the trackball first, and then we'll put in the spinner. All right, get things lined up here. How's that? Man, the 20s are even coming in really short. And I don't think I got things longer than 20. Longer to go through these. That actually, well, let's try it. Let's see if I can get one of these in with the, once that's recessed in there. Yeah, you can tell. I mean, there's very little of the screw that's coming through there. So let's see what happens if I try and put a nut on there. For this, I'm going to have to use the pliers again to hold the nut on there. This is not the easiest. Method, but it is what's going to have to work, provided things line up correctly and I have the nut in the right place. Whew. There we go. Yeah, does not look like the nut was in the right place. Looks like the nut even has to be further. We want it right at the end of those pliers. Jeez. Yeah, just a quick note about your trackball, dude. Maybe get something a little easier to install. Maybe this is really good for the, I know the one-up, the one-up arcades, or those called one-up arcades? The little 3/4 size arcade machines that you can get. You can actually install these trackballs into them. All right, that is still not coming through. Let's really have it on the end there. And I think when I may have accidentally pushed it a little bit into the needle nose pliers. The problem is I can't see if things are lining up. That's a real pain in the butt here. No, does not appear to be. Oh, it is. Okay, it's making contact. Okay, and it is in place. Wow. Not super easy to get into. So maybe if you're putting these together, see if you've got M3 screws available to you that are longer than 20 millimeter. The longer the better. Let me see if I can do this without. Yeah, this is still turning and still locking it in, so that's good. Okay, let's get the opposite one so this thing is positioned correctly. M320 in place. And what worked out really well is actually having this in there and using it kind of as a little kickstand. Oh well, did not work there for this one. A little more of the nut is, or the bolt is coming out on there. So maybe there was a 16 in my 20s. That might have been a, because I'm seeing a lot more of the end of the bolt coming out on the other side of this. Okay. Yep, there we go. That's a problem. That problem right there is that dropping that, and then the thing's disconnected here. This is, there we go. Oh, so close. Why did I let go of it? Can you please tell me that? Jeez. This all will not make it into the final video. Just gonna say that right now. Falling. Keeps bumping into the thing and then falling. And that's not straight, so that's a problem. Let's get that straight. Hold it there tight. Oh, I think it's working. I think it's making. contact going in the right. Yep. Oh my gosh. Repeat that hell 4 times. Still wiggling though, so gotta somehow get enough grip on it to keep it from rotating when I screw it in. All right, let's get the next one in. Maybe tweezers would be better. I think I actually do have better needle-nose pliers too that are thinner. That might work better for this, but let's try the tweezers here. Let's see if these are any better. Little duckbill looking things. It might be worse, honestly. They're thinner. Are they thinner though? I don't know. Let's see what we got. They don't have little rubber handles, which is also a problem. Oh yeah, this might actually work. Oh, it turned sideways. Try that again. Well, I found an angle, at least I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, actually these pliers look like they're going to work a lot better for this. Okay, good. 3 of the 4. Let's get our 4th one in here. And then a nut. Let's hear it for little rubber mats with edges on them that catch things that you drop as you're working on them. You can get this at any sort of hobby store. It's a very cool little kind of a slat mat kind of thing, silicone rubber mat, and really good for catching, basically catching the crap you drop as you're working on something. Same problem here. Got it in there and it turned it sideways. Let's back it out a little bit more. Hold it so I can kind of see what's going on. No, it is not. There we go. Let's see if that. Oh, we might have. I think we have success. I think we have contact here. It's screwed in and it's tight. Okay, good. All right, so there is our trackball control. Guess what? The spinner, much easier. Everything here is just nicely set up, and this one, nothing really difficult to get to. It's just 4 for standoffs, and then these things come through on the other side. So let's do the first of these standoffs. We'll be continuing to use the fantastic M320s, M3 20 millimeters. I'll tighten that. Actually, I'll tighten that right now. Let's just tighten it right this second. And, you know, Tempest being one of my favorite games, I do have a full-size Tempest down here already. But I'm actually really looking forward to playing Arkanoid with an actual real spinner. Because you just can't compare having a real spinner versus using a joystick. I'd love to figure out a way too, if there's a way to do asteroids and use a spinner to move your ship. I feel like that's the better use of the asteroids controls, is a spinner to move your ship as opposed to left and right buttons. I could be wrong on that though. I might try it and just absolutely hate it, so we'll see. You know, you think about games like Tron and say, great, you know, spinner is good for that one too. Unfortunately, unless you have a flight yoke with a button, a fire button on it, you need 3 hands to play Tron with a joystick, because you joystick, button, and a spinner. Obviously, games like the Light Cycles, doesn't matter. You can use a regular joystick with that. But if you're thinking about like the spider, you know, shooting the spiders before you go up in the thing, or the tanks, being able to turn your turret with the spinner, you need you need the right controls for that. And unfortunately, without a yoke, a flight yokem, you're not going to have any luck with Tron. They do make a Tron control for RetroPie, but that's one of those things that it's really basically 2 games use that, Tron and Discs of Tron. I guess, you know, having a fire button on your controller is probably good for a lot of different games. Zaxxon. Actually, I think Zaxxon did have a yoke with a trigger button on it. Okay, there's our spinner controls, and then here's our actual spinner. Oh, look how cool this thing is. This is one that attaches via a screw inside. This is a nicely weighted knob. It's really, really nice. So we will remove, take the screw out a little bit so we can put the thing on here. There's not a side here that is flat, it looks like. It looks like it's just straight. So put this guy on here. Did I not get enough of the screw out of the way? There we go. There, now it's on. Now it's seated properly. And then we tighten the crap out of this. Here's the moment of truth. This is, oh yeah, that's so satisfying. You want a knob that you spin, let go, and it keeps on spinning for days. Perfect. Okay, great. So we've got these parts done. We did get a ribbon connector here and some clips. There's also some screws that we're just not using. And what looks like a little metal disc. I don't know what this is for. I'll look at the instructions really quick. There it is. It's like, where's the box for this thing? It's called a metal pad. Oh, if you have a plexiglass cover, place the metal pad under the spinner knob before fixing. So it just gives you, it gives you one little extra layer, amount of distance on the metal pad. Okay, so there we go. We've seated our spinner. We're done with this for a minute. Let's get the controls installed for this. Or not the controls, the connection box. So this is going to be the second box. It'll attach to the first part of the OpenCADE via this hole and these ports right here. Probably the easiest thing to do first is put the other pad on here, or the other blocker, because you don't want air and crap getting inside. So let's go ahead and do that first. It'll be a lot easier to do this now before the other things. And M320s, we're going to go back to 12s for this, or 16s. I think I was using 16s actually for the other part, so we'll keep using 16s. Pour these guys in here. Get the nut situated. Let's get the first two on and then we'll tighten, since this thing moves around a lot more. There. Good. Okay, there's 4 of those. We'll use this guy to tighten all 4. Okay, now this little tiny contraption here is what are the controls for your trackball and spinner. And you can see there's actually 3 ports on here. TX3, TX1, and TX2. We're just going to be doing TX1 and TX2, and then there's a connector right here, micro USB connection here. So you've got your 4 here, your 4 here. This one, oddly enough, connects to 2 of those. It's a really funny setup. And for that, we're going to use our little M2, let's see, these are the M2 5s. Got a couple of them here. And this is one where it uses the actual, it's got a screw connection as opposed to a Allen wrench connection. So we'll get that where it needs to be, and we'll just screw it in there. Feels like this is the better placement for it. I'll tighten that in a second. It is barely going in, but I want to get the other one situated first before I tighten both of them. Just want to get them in there holding stuff in place. And again, you want to make sure these are tight because you don't want this board wiggling and wobbling around, but you don't want it, there we go. You don't want it over tightened, obviously, because these screws will strip out the filament, the plastic filament in the standoffs. Look at that, that is sturdy, sturdy. Okay, let's get some of this stuff out of the way because we need to put, before we connect the, we need to actually get the other unit connected here. So let's make some room. We'll get this guy kind of situated back here because we know that'll be part of this as well. And let's get the other box. Okay, here is our other box. And this is the micro USB connection. I do have this going through. I'm actually going to keep it because having this with as little flopping around cordage as possible, I think is very good. So I'm going to use the very same twist tie on here to keep things organized. You also notice that on the original box, I did use a couple of screws to get things kind of situated down. Flat side is on top there. I don't know actually which side is up on this thing, but it's not that way. 50-50 shot, and I didn't get it. Womp womp. That is the way it goes in. Cool. Let's get these guys plugged in. So first up is our trackball. Probably doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter which one's one and which one's two. So we'll do the trackball just on this side because of the location, and then we'll do the spinner in port number 2. Third one we can leave for a future thing, maybe a steering wheel or something. Oh, and before we close this, let's actually connect the 2 units together. So get my Allen wrench, and I only connected the lid here long enough to get RetroPie started, the configuration started. Let's unscrew these. We'll put these up here for right now so we don't lose them. And we're actually going to use these very same screws and nuts to connect these two. This is fun because now we've got all these cables in here going from one to the other, but you know what, we're going to make it work. I guess I didn't clean out a couple of supports. Okay. That's our first one right there. It's a very nice modular way of doing this, because you could obviously glue these 2 pieces together. The problem that you might run into is that you may decide later on that you want to have a second joystick for like Robotron or 2-player, you know, another set of cable or another set of buttons or something. So, you know, like fighting games side by side setup. Or you may decide that you want those things, you know, on a third box, keeping the trackball and the spinner as its own unit in the middle, and then having the other 2 kind of around that. So many different ways you can configure these, and that actually, oops, that actually seems like a pretty cool way of doing it. So you could keep, you know, your 2 people playing fighting games, keep them kind of more separate. And then have the trackball and stuff in the middle for solo, you know, missile command or whatnot. Feels like a really good way of doing it. All right. Might have been easier to connect these. Let's take these guys out for a minute. Remember, pull with the plastic, not from the cord. And keep one hand, keep the sides of the PCB pressed down as you pull the pins out, or pull the junction out. They shouldn't be really hard to pull. Good thing to learn is that this is a lot easier to connect your two boxes before you connect your spinning your trackball to your PCB. Might even be easier to, to connect them before you put the PCB in. A lot of, you know, it's like a surgeon, like surgery here. Like, all right, is it easier to replace the heart after you've removed the spleen? Let's get this easy one out of the way before we do what I think is going to be the most difficult one, which is the bottom corner by the buttons. Once again, I drop these little tiny M3 nuts in the bottom of the box. Pretty sturdy. All right, let's get this last screw put in here to hold these two guys together. This is the one I was dreading. Still probably easier to put the screw in from this side. Oh, definitely easier because I've got to use the Allen wrench. There we go. Okay. Cool. All right. Boy, these two units are just joined together perfectly. Okay, let's reconnect these guys now that we've got the room, and looks good. Okay. And now we just, and now there's no reason for me not to fully assemble the lids. So let's do that. God, there's some, let's clean that out a little bit here. To those of you who just watched an X-Acto knife fly out of my hands, you'll be happy to know that it missed my bare feet completely. And that would have been a fun video to have on my channel. Brian stabs his feet with a X-Acto knife. The hilarity that would ensue from that. All right, let's get this guy, make sure he's lined up with the, well, I've used up, oh, am I going to have enough? I have 1, 2, 3, maybe I won't use 16s. Let's use 12s for this part, because I'm actually, this would deplete my 16 supply, and I think 12s will work just as well. If not better, because there's far less connection that they have to go through to get connected here. you know what? I am going to just connect, or just put the lid on with 2 of these on each side. And here's why. These lids are already super stable with 2. And just in case there's anything remaining in the to-do list that has to be done, or something that has to be fixed, there's no reason for me to have to undo 4 of these when I can undo 2, right? And I can come back and I can, if everything works, the spinner works, the trackball works, then I can come back and do all 4 of the screws, or just do the 2 remaining screws that I haven't done. Okay, those 2. Let's put this guy back on. A lot more screws to deal with, or a lot more wire to deal with. Yeah, you can tell which of these printed with the top down on my printer bed, and which one printed from the top up on the printer bed. Love the texture on the left side there of the trackball and spinner control panel. Okay, that is in. And then this guy. Okay, that is on there tight. Should do some rubber feet on here really quick before we go any further. I do have rubber feet. I should clarify. I do have ladies and gentlemen, Brian Ibbett has rubber feet. I do have these guys, so let's put these guys on the bottom, and we'll do just one in every corner of either of each box. Little self-adhesive pads. I don't know how well these stick, but let's hope they stick well. But having these not move is crucial. On whatever surface I'm playing on. And as you saw with the earlier Donkey Kong test that I did, it's not something that you want to omit from your build. Plus, if you take this over to Grandma's house and you start playing this thing on her lovely oak dining table and it leaves scratches and scrapes, she will never let you come back to her house. Okay, let's take it over. Let's try it out. All right, here's me trying to film while I play Arkanoid. Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, geez, because I'm looking through the little screen. But you can see that I'm using the knob here to move my dude. Yeah, there we go. We have functioning OpenCADE. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody, and keep watching. And what do people usually say? Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Yeah, cool. Thanks, and make sure to hit the fire button before the timer reaches 0. Okay, bye.